Issue 3 of the Healthy Bikers Workshop Manual. Come into the man cave. I want to talk to you about something. Water! We all need it, we all drink it, sometimes in different forms. Beer, cider, tea, coffee, gin, more gin, rum, whiskey, sake. We all need it. Right, what we don't need is one of these. Okay, that measures how many bits of salt you've got floating around in your water. But what you might need is one of these. This will do temperature and also parts per million, because we're going to talk about distilleries. Now come on, everybody's favourite subject. I went to a great distillery, I can't even say it now, distillery in Japan, and they had huge kettles, I guess you call them. So I'm going to show you my still. Right, this is my little setup. It's basically a 240 volts distillery thing. That heats water up, it bubbles and steams, and up the top there's a little fan, and it goes round a copper tube, round and round and round, with a fan on top which cools it down. The water drips through a charcoal filter to take out any last taste, which you can get, and I'll show you why you can get that. And then you get a couple of litres of good water in there. Now you might ask, why on earth do you bother drinking distilled water? The simple truth is, well actually no, I shall show you why. That's what the inside of my distiller looks like after about a month of distilling water. I'm just cleaning it now, so I've put some citric acid in there, stirring it up, turning it on. I'll show you exactly what the water looks like after it's been distilled. The water itself is down to maybe 1 part per million, mostly 0 parts per million, but what's left over, I think it'll shock you. There you are, that's it settled. I've got a sticky kind of a stick kind of thing. That's it stirred up. That's actually just the residue from 1.5 litres, maybe 2 litres of water, and that is that's left over from tap water after it's been distilled. And we've been drinking that stuff. Oh, it does not smell nice. I then pour it into old bottles. Distilled water can taste a little bit dead, a little bit lifeless, and that's because it's been sat. Once it goes into there, it sits in there, and it's only dripping slowly in there. When you drink natural spring water, you'll notice the difference. In fact, water that's been through the tap is a little bit more lively, and there's a reason for that. It's been going through a vortex. You can buy a vortexer which goes in the top of one bottle into another bottle, and you pour it through and it goes like that. But you don't need to, because if you do the simple old, I guess it was the Spaniards that did it first with the wine. Pour it from a distance. Can you hear that? That is getting aerated. It's also getting spiraled, because water comes out like that and spirals, and that is enlivening it. But I don't leave it there. I also add a little tiny, about 5 grams I guess, of sea salt. I use my favourite Himalayan sea salt, the pink stuff, and that adds all the minerals you're going to need for the day. So if you fill your bottle up, that as it is tastes a bit bland. With a little bit of salt in it, you think it tastes like salt water, but it doesn't. It tastes like water with a little bit of salt in it. Before we go any further, I have an apology to make. Last month we had a recipe for grilled cheese, and apparently a few people, 4, snivelled about the fact they didn't know what grilled cheese looked like. So without further ado, I shall show you what the finished article looks like after it's come out of the oven and is all ready to eat. For any of you who don't know what grilled cheese looks like, here it is. I really don't like upsetting people. I don't. This episode's exercise is not an exercise at all, and yet it'll still do you just as good. Earthing and reflexology. 2 processes in one. So, what is earthing and why is it so important? Thousands of years ago, even hundreds of years ago, we walked the earth with leather or open-toe sandals, or just bare feet. And we picked up on the energies of the earth. Everything is energy, including us. Our body is filled with energy. It is energy. And the earth has its own energy. So we've lived our lives at least in the 20th century and into the 21st, completely cut off from the earth. We wear rubber-soled shoes, tyres on the bikes. Houses have a damp course, which stops moisture coming up, okay, but it also stops the natural energy of the earth coming up. It's an electromagnetic energy. The earth's magnetosphere vibrates at about 7.8 hertz or something like that. And 7.8 hertz is what the body needs to effectively balance all the systems in it. When you're bombarded by 2.4 gigahertz at work, I've got at least 8 signals cross over me during the day. In Osaka there were 25 Wi-Fi signals that I could pick up on my phone. That's a lot of gigahertz of energy flowing through your whole system, and it's not really good for you. I'm sure it isn't. It's definitely not natural. Earthing allows you to balance all the systems in your body by energizing yourself from the feet up. It works a treat. Just give it a go. 15 minutes a day in the summer. You can do it all year long if you feel like it. If you're up to the task, you will feel healthier for it. It's an exercise that doesn't actually have any downside to it apart from getting cold feet. Just so there are no complaints this month, this is what water looks like. Before you go, I've got a little bonus for you. This is a 12-volt battery out of the wife's car, and what I have here, some distilled water with 2 electrodes in it. Those electrodes are 99.9% silver. The water at the moment has, well, no parts per million. We'll do an experiment now and we'll see exactly how much silver can be put into that water in, let's say, 15 minutes. Ideally, what you want is an alternating current going through there. Obviously batteries are direct current. You can get a little alternating thing which switches it from positive to negative every 2 or 3 seconds, and that would be just right, because that way you don't get a build-up of silver oxide on one of your electrodes. Now what's the whole point of this, Rod? What are you talking about, mate? You've gone a little bit off the scale there. The whole point is to have colloidal silver. If you go into any health food shop, you can find colloidal silver 25ml for about £19. I think those 2 electrodes cost me about £11, something like that. They're not really cheap. They do cost money. But if you think that you can make batch after batch after batch with just those 2 electrodes, then you have got colloidal silver virtually for pennies. What's colloidal silver, Rod? Well, here we go. Colloidal silver is used to fight infections of all sorts. They used to use silver for surgical tools. They don't now, they use stainless steel. But silver would naturally clean any infection off of it because it kills bad bacteria. If you ingest the stuff, it only kills the bad bacteria and leaves the good bacteria in your gut alone, because they work on different principles. One works aerobically, the other works anaerobically. So if you were to drink colloidal silver, you would be killing off bad bacteria and helping your good bacteria thrive. I use it as a spray Whenever I get that tickle in the back of the throat when a cold is coming on, I squirt a little bit at the back of my throat, and within seconds it's dead, it's gone. It's useful for so much more than just that. It heals wounds, it cleans wounds. Colloidal silver is used for all sorts of things. Why don't you Google it and have a look. That's issue 3. Issue 2 is down there somewhere, and issue 1 as well if I'm feeling generous.